4 seasons in, and somehow we're already managing 7 clubs across 4 different continents. In addition to our flagship club Sunderland in the Premier League, we've also got Hamburg, Standard Liege, Independiente, Urawa Red Diamonds, Mamelodi Sundowns, and now Dinamo Zagreb have been added to the mix. It's complete madness. But all our early milestones are now done, which means from this point on, it is all about Champions League success around the world. We need to win 2 different Champions Leagues to unlock our North American expansion team. And then the focus is fully on winning all 5 continental Champions Leagues in the same season, which should be easy peasy, right? So season 5 is about laying the groundwork for that, because although we've expanded the empire fast, none of our clubs are exactly excelling currently, with arguably the 2 biggest ones, Sunderland and Hamburg, stuck down in mid-table in their domestic leagues. So we need to sort them 2 out, get them playing Champions League football, and keep the rest of the empire growing stronger while we do it. Simple. And this is where we kick things off at the start of season 5. As you can see, Sunderland once again finishing down in 11th place, but there are signs of life. We've got a 22-year-old Dutch striker who's scoring goals for fun. We've got some very good young players scattered around the squad. I mean, the average age of the squad is pretty low. We only have 2 players who are, a couple of players who are over 30 years old. But to be honest, they're all on their way out of the club. Harry Maguire, Andrew Robertson, Andrew Grealish, Freddie Woodman, Anthony Patterson is probably going to be leaving as well, which would leave our oldest player, a 27-year-old Dan Neil, who is also wanted by various clubs, and we might even move him on as well. So there's lots of exciting young players at Sunderland. They just need to start moving up the table. And I have decided, if we have another disappointing season this season, I think we will start doing every transfer window from next season on. We're going to give it one more try, doing it the way the cool kids do it, just doing the summer transfers and simming. But if we have to break it down and do every window just to get some success out of Sunderland, we will. The exciting thing is we've got an absolute ton of money to spend, £162 million in our transfer budget. The transfer debt is decreasing because, although you wouldn't necessarily know it from looking at our last few seasons, we have actually started behaving a little bit more sensibly in the transfer market. The last couple of years, we're not putting everything on the never never, and we're actually basically spending as a net spend our original budgets. We're actually selling a lot of players as well. So Sunderland, I mean, they're fine as a mid-table team that is doing very nicely, but obviously we need to push them on and get them into the top half of the table. Pretty much everything I've just said could also apply to Hamburg, who are down in 8th place in Bundesliga. So no European football for Hamburg this coming season either, and not much in the way of a transfer budget off the back of it. But once again, there are some exciting young players to build the team around. I am hopeful for Hamburg. We just need to get them performing consistently. Standard Liège, things are looking a lot brighter. We're back in the Champions League for a 2nd year in a row with them, and as a result, money is flowing. And I think at this point, they are probably the 2nd team in the empire behind Sunderland. They've probably already gone past Hamburg, and if they continue playing in the Champions League every year, it's not going to be long before Standard Liège takes over as our main team. But for now, the focus is still on developing players. We've got a lot of players there on loan from our bigger clubs. And fingers crossed we can continue growing them as well. And then, of course, we have the new boys, Dinamo Zagreb, who I think will also be in the Champions League. No, Europa League. 2nd place in Croatia gets you into the Europa League. So we'll be in the Europa League with Dinamo Zagreb. Not a massive amount of money to spend, but there are some decent players here, and it is a wonder kid factory. I think we've already moved them all up into the first team, similar to what you have with the clubs we've got scattered around the rest of the world. I am excited about what the future brings from some of these young players who I expect to see them being fielded by Sunderland and Hamburg and Standard Liège relatively soon. And then Mamelodi Sundowns are our other winter club. The other 2 do the opposite. They do summer seasons, but Mamelodi's, I guess this is summer in South Africa because they're down in the bottom half of the world, aren't they? The other side. But you know what I mean. We finished second last season, which frustratingly was the first time in forever that Sundowns haven't won the South African League. So that's the Empire influence right there. But we did win a continental competition, albeit not the big one, the Orange CAF Confederation Cup, which I think is the African equivalent of the Europa League. So that's nice. And obviously there's money to spend down here with these guys as well, which is promising. And I think my plan with Mamelodi Sundowns, because I am a monster, is just buy up the rest of the Dream 11. Because why not? We've already got most of the best players in the league. Some of them will move to our European clubs. But £4 million to spend in South Africa is already a fortune. If we buy one or two of the Wonder Kids for another couple of million, we can literally financially dominate the entire continent. And I think that's the plan. Get this one as a safe banker winning the African Champions League every year. And then we only have to work on the other four, don't we? If we get this, I think we can get a youth production line going whilst still winning the Champions League in Africa. And that's the plan here. So the other two, Independiente and Urawa Red Diamonds, we're just going to leave them until we get to their end of season windows. We'll check in with them midway through the episode. But for now, we've got 5 transfer windows to do. Let's go spend some money. And spend some money we have done. Starting off with Sunderland, you can see just how many inter-empire transfers we've got going on now. It is starting to work the way I always imagined it would work. So the first big signing of the summer, Marin Toplak, joined Sunderland from Dinamo Zagreb. He's 18 years old and he's 6'2". You can't teach that. 5-star potential. He's going to be a great player for Sunderland. But for now, we've put him on the Sunderland books, but sent him back to Dinamo Zagreb for a year. Although there is the advantage as an 18-year-old, if we'd have brought him in, we could have made him homegrown at club at Sunderland. I think it's more important that we develop him into a top player. So yeah, he's going to go out and continue playing for Dinamo Zagreb for a year or two until he stops being the next Slaven Bilic and becomes actual Slaven Bilic, and then we can use him in our team. So he is in and straight back out again. We've done the same thing with 2 players from Mamelodi Sundowns. So Sean Morosi is an 18-year-old left winger who's come in for £1 million and gone straight back again. And Vusi Nkosi is a 19-year-old attacking midfielder and right winger who's come in for £1.3 million and again gone straight back. And look at his value. He's quite a good one, I think. I don't think the other guy, yeah, he's fine. He might be something a little bit special there, but they've both gone back to Sundowns for the season as well. We've also loaned Ivan Fresneda to Hamburg because he wasn't getting any game time at Sunderland, so he can go and try and break through at Hamburg. Bents Dardai, who we originally signed to play for Hamburg. He hasn't been, so we've now sent him to Standard Liège to try and get him into the team there. And Chris Rigg has gone back on loan to Hamburg. He was there a few years ago. He's then had a season at Standard Liège and done quite well. So we're now putting him back at Hamburg and hoping he can get a breakthrough there. In addition to the inter-club transfers, we've also signed a nice chunk of promising young players for Sunderland in their own right. So Osman Turay is a 21-year-old German left-back who comes in from Schalke to give us some strength in depth at left-back. And the joy of a transfer like this is if he doesn't work out for Sunderland, in a year's time, he'll be playing for Hamburg back in the Bundesliga where we know he's good. It's basically a risk-free transfer. Tommaso Martinelli is a new backup goalkeeper for us, a 23-year-old Italian, £13 million, has spent 2 years as a starter for Fiorentina in Serie A, now ready to sit on our bench. We did spend £118 million on this guy, Giovanni Quenda from Chelsea. Look, we want to be a Champions League club. So let's go and sign Champions League players, for goodness sake. He's a natural on both wings. He's got 10 caps for Portugal. And, I mean, yeah, he's not played regularly for Chelsea and we've spent that much money on him. But I think he's going to be good. Please let him be good or I'm going to look like a right wally. We've also signed another Portuguese player. Martin Fernandes is a 23-year-old right back. He comes in from Porto for 48.5 million. And then we've also got Marcos, who is a Brazilian third choice goalkeeper for us, who we tried to immediately send out on loan to Standard Liège and he wouldn't go. So he's just going to have to sit on our bench, or not even on our bench because Martinelli will be on the bench. We might try and send Martinelli out somewhere. And then Lauren is a 23-year-old Brazilian attacking midfielder / right winger who's come in probably to eventually move out to one of our other clubs. I don't imagine him breaking through at Sunderland, but maybe Dinamo Zagreb, maybe Standard Liège. He could end up being a useful player there. So the reason we were able to fund this madness, Adingra has gone to Real Betis for 44 million. Milambo to Al Shabab for 29 million. Some of our older players have left on free transfers. The Jose da Costa watch, we keep an eye on this guy. He's 18 now, 6'4". He's going to go out on loan to Swansea this season. He doesn't want to go to any of our other network clubs. He is now homegrown at club, touted as the next Tony Adams, which is we're going to have Tony Adams and Slaven Bilic at the back for us here at Sunderland, which is jolly nice to see. Eventually, he is hopefully going to go to Hamburg or Standard Liège for a season. In an ideal world, he would have gone to Dinamo Zagreb and partnered Toplak, and they could have built a partnership, and we could have brought that partnership through the Empire. But Da Costa didn't want to go, and I couldn't force him. And that's annoying. So after all that, yes, there's no real money in the bank, but also our transfer debt continues to decrease despite the fact that we're spending like crazy on players. And this is our best 11 at Sunderland, which unbelievably doesn't have the new guy in. Where is he? Why can't I find him? There he is. So he would be in there. And that is a very strong team, I think. And people say in the comments that this is the reason that players aren't getting rotated. They're not. When we go on holiday, we're not locking in the team selection. We only lock in the tactics. So the fact that I do that before going on holiday shouldn't be a big deal. I mean, I'll clear it anyway, just to be on the safe side, but I don't think that is causing the problem because I'm not locking in the team. I'm only locking in the tactic. But that's Sunderland. That's all our money spent. There is a little bit of time left on the window, but there's no money left. I think I'm done. I think we can settle down for the season with Sunderland now and hopefully have a better one. I mean, the media think we're going to finish 7th. It's about time we had a good season again. Moving over to Hamburg, obviously another club where we have had some multiple inter-empire transfers. We already know about the ones with Sunderland, but there's been some business going on with Dinamo Zagreb as well. Thomas Sandon has come in for, what's that, £4.8 million with a view to him actually playing. So he is going to be staying at Hamburg, and Ivor Panda has come in on the same basis to be the new goalkeeper at Hamburg. So they're two of the standout players from Zagreb who've moved over to Hamburg. And we've signed a couple of other young rascals as well. Really just filling in squad spots. It's not the most spectacular of windows we could have had at Hamburg, but fingers crossed we can start moving back up into the European qualification spots. That's the thing we've really struggled with Hamburg. Not being in Europe has led to Daniel Peretz leaving. So he's gone to Dortmund for £39 million. And we've got a few other players who don't want to be here. So I think until we can get back into Europe with Hamburg, they're very much becoming a third tier team within the Empire. And Standard Liège are probably surpassing them. And these are our Standard Liège transfers. So Andrew Lowe is a 19-year-old right back who comes in from Burnley. I did consider signing him for Sunderland and then loaning him to Standard Liège, but I think by this point we'd already committed too much money with Sunderland and we didn't actually have the funds free at the time. And because we had so much money with Liège, we just used the Standard Liège money. Why not? Use their own Champions League money. And if we end up deciding we want to move him back through to Sunderland, we can just do an inter-empire transfer then. So He's officially a Standard Liège player. Carlos Romero is a left back. He's come in as well. Junior Krupi is an attacking midfielder / striker who comes in for £11 million from Bournemouth, having never really played for them. We've also got Luca Kolyosho, who's an American winger who comes in from Norwich. And then Pierre is a French winger on loan from Nice, with a view to getting him in permanently, hopefully, at some point. We also moved one of our young players out to Dinamo Zagreb and freed up a few more squad spots, but nothing drastic at Standard Liège, but I think we have significantly upgraded in key areas. Lowe is a big upgrade at right back. Krupi is a big upgrade up front. And fingers crossed that's a Standard Liège team that can win the league again and continue qualifying for the Champions League. And then at Zagreb, we've actually sold more players than we've been able to bring in. I think the focus here, because the youth setup is so strong, we're almost going to make it into a young player and money factory. I think that's my plan for Dinamo Zagreb. No intention for this to be one of the teams that ever wins the Champions League. We've already got 3 other teams in Europe. So I think we're just going to really focus in on the youth setup. Every penny that we bring in, we're trying to expand and improve the youth setup with. Every now and again, we can use some shenanigans to move some of this money elsewhere in the network. But really, it's about bringing through young players. That's why we've sold off so many of the older members of the squad. And the only player we've signed it was a massive gap in the squad. We just didn't have anyone to play on that wing. But we'll do the odd emergency one like that. But really, we're going to try and sell off anybody who's over like 25, 26 years old and use this club to develop its own youth and eventually, hopefully, get the reputation high enough that some of our younger players at some of our other clubs will agree to come here and we can send them over as well. But for now, Top Black is the I guess the guinea pig for if this process works. But yeah, I think player and money factory is what Dinamo Zagreb are going to be. And then with Mamelodi Sundowns, I am just a monster. We obviously know about the 2 players that have gone to Sunderland and been loaned back, but we then did just start buying up the rest of the Dream 11. So this guy has come in from Golden Arrows, a really promising young player. And this is why South Africa is bonkers. £200,000 for a really promising young player. Yeah, we'll buy them up all day long. We've also, if you watched my original Pentagon that I did on earlier in the FM24 cycle, Rushwin Dortley was an absolute star for Cape Town Spurs in that for me. Real goal scoring centre back. I think scored the goal in the Champions League final, and we then took him to Japan with us as well. Well, he's now at Mamelodi Sundowns. He was in the Dream 11. Liam Byrne was part of that same Cape Town Spurs team and was also in the Dream 11, so he comes over as well. Look how cheap we can pick these boys up for. We've got so much money. And I think, again, similar idea to what we're doing with Dinamo Zagreb. Any decent young player goes to Sunderland, Hamburg or Standard Liège, and we throw money back at the club so we can hoover up the Dream 11. And then anything left over, the money will bounce back into Europe again somehow. But we own most of the Dream 11 now. And goodness me, you can be sure I'm going to try and buy up the rest of it. I mean, there's no point buying 29 and 31-year-olds. But anyone under the age of about 25 in this Dream 11 is definitely going to be coming over to us. And we are very, very heavy favourites for winning the league and back in the Champions League this season, which is awesome. So fingers crossed, if that transfer window has worked, Sunderland at least get into the Europa League, Hamburg hopefully get into the Champions League, Standard Liège win the league and get back into the Champions League again. Mamelodi Sundowns win the league. And why not? Let's start winning the Champions League with them. And Dinamo Zagreb just keep chugging along and churning out good young players. That's the plan. Let's see if it works. But first, we've got our 2 summer clubs to deal with. Independiente and Urawa Red Diamonds. This is now January, so we can have a look to see how Independiente got on in their previous season. So an overall league table finish of 12th is not great. That is not a very good season at all. Got through to the second round of the Copa Libertadores which is also not great, but there is a big bunch of cash to spend, which is, I guess, a positive. And now we need to do some transfers. So let's do some transfers. It was a slightly better season for Urawa Red Diamonds, finishing third in the league, only 3 points off of ultimate winners Albirex Niigata, which should be enough to qualify us for the Champions League, which we are still in because the Champions League operates on an opposite schedule to the league in Japan, just for double layers of confusion. So we've already qualified for next season's Champions League, but we're still in this season's one where we're in the quarterfinals. So Urawa Red Diamonds very much in with a chance of some Champions League success, which would be super. There is a decent amount of money to spend here. And again, let's go spend some of it, I guess. And we've not been able to spend a lot of it. But I don't think we've necessarily needed to spend a lot of it. Yes, there's still a bunch of money knocking around, but I think this is a good team. And we kind of need to balance there's no rush to win the Champions League now. We don't need to win the Champions League in Asia until we're ready to win all of the Champions Leagues. So initially, we're just kind of treading water and developing young players and trying to keep in the mix. So when we find a bargain, like Jaden Slorry, we'll bring in a bargain. Pablo Marin, again, we're going to bring someone like that in for £350,000. But we've got a Croatian there. I don't think I even noticed he was Croatian at the time. The fact that he's come here rather than going to Dinamo Zagreb is a madness. But maybe he'll end up at Dinamo Zagreb, which would be nice. And we've sold off some of the fringies, but really it's about developing youngsters and scouting. And I think our scouting still leaves a lot to be desired at Urawa Red Diamonds. So we are going to do another season of scouting. As long as we keep qualifying for the Champions League, which we should, I'm not that bothered about how we actually do for now. We can kind of tread water with this club. If we find a little superstar, then we'll have to make a decision about what we're going to do with said little superstar. I mean, for example, he might be a little superstar. 19 years old, already got 2 caps for Japan, already 3.5 stars of current ability, 5 stars of potential. We might need to make sure we just shepherd him over to Europe sooner rather than later. But otherwise, happy just to carry on. I mean, we're doing fine. We finished third in the league. We're in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. That's all fine. Just more of that, please. And then with Independiente, it was a little bit more interesting because we had to bring Dinamo Zagreb off holiday briefly because we had a couple of young players at Independiente who were wanted by European clubs. We haven't got any money at Sunderland or Hamburg to sign them. So we used Dinamo Zagreb and we were able to get hold of them. So Christian Pinto, who has got 2 stars of current ability, 5 stars of potential. He's gone to Dinamo Zagreb for 2.8 million and then been loaned back to us. And we tried to do the same thing with Matteo Morro, but he didn't want to come back on loan. So he's gone in to Dinamo Zagreb, potentially to become the new goalkeeper there. Because if you recall, we did lose our goalkeeper at Dinamo Zagreb. We took him to Hamburg. So Matteo Morro might end up being Dinamo Zagreb's starting goalkeeper. We'll find out more when we get to the end of the season and we're actually properly doing Dinamo Zagreb squad building. But he's been the starting keeper here at Independiente for a little while, and he wanted to go to Europe as well. So we had to stop that from happening, or at least make sure he went via us. We have signed a 19-year-old with loads of potential from Rosario Central, and we've got a second Pinto, a 24-year-old from Huracan. But other than that, not a huge amount of business done. We once again got to deadline day and got cut off because Argentina things. But yeah, I again I'm happy setting these up as player factories for now. I'm not worrying about anywhere outside of Europe until we've got a chance of winning a Champions League in Europe. And we're so far from that. For now, we're just in a holding pattern with the rest of the clubs. I think that's okay. But it's not okay if the clubs we're in a holding pattern for keep being rubbish. End of season 5, Sunderland finished 9th. I mean, it is an improvement on 11th. We're only 1 point outside of a European qualification spot. But when our centre-back is our joint top scorer with our supposed free-scoring Dutch international striker who's just... Oh, my word. I mean, that's no Europe again. We've missed out on Europe by goal difference. Terrible performance in the domestic cups. Yes, there's money to spend again. But we also have a bunch of players who are frustrated by us being rubbish. Sunderland. Sunderland. What are we going to do with you? The situation is slightly better at Hamburg because it looks like we have qualified for Europe via Hamburg. Yep, we're back in the Europa League with Hamburg. So that's a positive. It's also a massive positive to see Nelson Wiper scoring as many goals as he is. He's now had a cap for Germany. Al Ittihad want him, but he got 24 goals for Hamburg last season. He's been there 3 years, and that looks like a breakout season to me. And it might be time for him to move to the Premier League. He might be on his way to Sunderland this summer. I'll have a think, because we have got lots of good strikers at Sunderland. But maybe we go back to what worked with Omega all those years ago and just have a big unit up front. Or maybe we keep him here at Hamburg and try and keep him here forever, scoring goals for us. Take him out of that team and I think we have got a problem. So maybe we do what we can to try and keep him here. But I guess if he wants to go for money, we might have to keep him within the Empire for money. He's only 25 after all. This is a long way from ideal with Standard Liège. We've dropped out of the Champions League, dropped down to 3rd place and going to be in the Europa League next season. How did we get on in the Champions League? We didn't even qualify for the Champions League proper either. So we must have got knocked out of the Champions League very early on, got knocked out by Celtic. So a season in the Europa League where we got... In fact, we got knocked out of the Europa League as well. So we were knocked out of the Champions League by Celtic, then knocked out of the Europa League by Sparta Prague. No. Oh, my word. It was Dinamo Zagreb knocked us out. Oh, no. That's the opposite of what's supposed to happen. Standard Liège was supposed to be one of our second-tier clubs. Dinamo Zagreb knocking them out of the Europa League. So we ended up in the Conference League with Standard Liège, which we got knocked out of in the second round by Trabzonspor. The Standard Liège experiment might be over. We did win the Crocky Cup, so we have got a domestic cup on our books, which is nice, I guess. That is rotten, though. I don't understand what that is. How has that happened? What does that mean? What's gone on here? Who's this guy? Have we been taken over? We can't be taken over. I mean, they're still within the network. There's now an annual fee being paid by Sunderland again. We might just need to double check that we are sharing the same board, because that shouldn't be happening. We might need to fix something that's broken at Standard Liège. But in the meantime, Dinamo Zagreb, the little rascals, who obviously knocked Standard Liège out of Europe, we are now going to be in the Champions League, or at least the Champions League qualifiers. So the team that we brought in, and I literally said earlier in this video, is just about developing young players and making us money. The one I'm not putting any focus on the first team for is going to be our only representative in the Champions League. How did Toplak get on? Oh, he's going to be good, isn't he? He only played 16 games, which is weird, but he has developed during them. We had a player score 45 goals. I mean, we might need to have a little look at him with one of our other clubs. I know he's 27, but that's quite the goal return. He definitely seems to suit our system. And remember, we are playing the same tactic across every club in the Empire. So he obviously suits the way we play. We might need to have a closer look at him with one of our other clubs, but Dinamo Zagreb will be in the Champions League next season and there is money to spend. So I think they probably move past Standard Liège in the pecking order, maybe. And Mamelodi Sundowns did win the league, as you would expect. Also with a very free scoring striker, Shepo Kuneni, who actually scored in all competitions more goals than games played, 31 goals from 25 starts. Also got 14 from 9 starts in the Champions League. But his record on there doesn't look anywhere near as good because I guess he played more Champions League football than he did domestic football. The two youngsters having good seasons as well, though these are the two who are on Sunderland's books. A 7.4 and a 7.16 average rating for those two is jolly nice to see. And we've won our first Champions League. I mean, the plan has come together perfectly at Mamelodi Sundowns. This is exactly what we're supposed to do. Just make money, develop young players, and win the Champions League. So that is one of our 5 Champions Leagues unlocked, which means we only need to win one other to unlock North America. And then if we win the other 4 in the same season as the next one of these, we complete the save. I don't think we're winning the Champions League in the next 12 months with Dinamo Zagreb. So we're not going to get too ahead of ourselves, but we do need to monitor this. If we can maybe win the Asian Champions League with Urawa Red Diamonds, who are on holiday, but their Champions League will have finished. If they've won the Champions League, we unlock North America. That's still last season's Champions League. This season, sorry. How do we see last season's Champions League? Well, we didn't win it. I don't think. Did we win it? No, we did. We lost 9-3 in aggregate. We got to the final, though. 9-3. Can we... How do we see the first leg of that? I mean, we're not officially looking at Urawa Red Diamonds at the moment. But Champions League final, when was it? I can't keep up with how this all works. It's so confusing. So Champions League final, we lost 6-1 away in the first leg to Al Ittihad and then lost 3-2 at home. That's going to be difficult to win because you've got to come up against the Saudi Arabian teams who are probably quite good. Yeah. I mean, they're quite good. But we did get to the final. We were a whisker away from unlocking North America, but not today, boys and girls, because of Saudi Arabia. And I have got... My head is going to explode. Right, decision made. We are going to do... I've broken myself with this save. We are going to start... We're going to slow the pace down a little bit. We're going to start doing 6 months per episode. I'm going to start managing every transfer window. These are things people have been suggesting, and I now definitely feel like it needs to be done. So the next episode will be the first half of next season. So it'll be the summer transfer windows and the winter transfer window. Everyone gets a transfer window in every episode and half a season. We've got to get Sunderland into the Champions League. We've got to sort everything out. We've got to sort our lives out. I'm broken. I need to go and have a lie down. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've got a headache. I guess some of the results have been good. This is so confusing.